And as you can see now, the film, how essential it is to get this message out. We have 30 DVDs available here tonight, so if you can pick one of those up, with it, do film showings, whatever you want. Get the message out. And I was talking to Josh Del Sol the other day, who's, matter of fact, on the way up here, I was talking to him right before I left, and he said hi to everybody, thank you, and blessing from him. He's planning on coming to British Columbia to go around the whole province doing film showings and talks, so that's good for him. He's at a yoga retreat right now, a badly needed one, I'm sure. So anyway, there's DVDs out back, and Citizens for Safe Technology has some DVDs on cell towers and whatnot. Also, and so Una, would you like to do Q&A? And also she'll be in the back.
So, congratulations to all of you, you survived the movie. And that movie was so fantastic. I am so thankful to Josh for putting 2 years of his life into this movie. So, I just wanted to tell you that it's been amazing to see the product that he has brought to us, and it's such a beneficial movie. So, for people who wonder if they can make a difference, you heard about the municipalities around British Columbia, and there are actually 61 of them which stood up and said there must be democratic choice in our municipality. So that was mayor and council. And I'm going to tell you how we did that. It was 3 of us, Chris Anderson, Sharon Noble, and myself, and we stood for a week outside the Union of BC Municipalities. And we were spoken very rudely to. The security moved us every day. We were ignored. We were yelled at by council members. But we kept talking to them, and we kept saying, this is a democratic right. And by the end of the week, there was a vote, and the vote was passed that nobody should be forced in British Columbia to suffer a smart meter, and there should be choice. I want to tell you that we didn't believe we could make a difference. We were doing it just because we knew we should, because it was the right thing to do. But we made a difference, and it was 3 of us. And we did have people that came and joined us, and it rained every day. So I'm wanting to tell you, you can make a difference. And if this feels overwhelming to you, that's fine. That's normal. Start small. Make your home safe, whatever that means. To me, it means being a wired home and having no smart meter, no matter what it takes. I have to tell you, I'm building a new place. I bought a lovely piece of property in Sorrento, and I tried to work with BC Hydro. I had an analog meter, it was fully measured, it was passed by Measurements Canada, etc. It was a new analog meter. And I said, you know, I'm the lead plaintiff in the human rights action. I need to be accommodated, and I need an analog meter, and I've got one, etc. So don't tell me you can't get me one, I have one. And they wouldn't. So I decided to go off-grid. So that was my decision. And it's not something that everybody can do, but I have a line in the sand, and I can't go over it. I know these things are dangerous, and I can't dance with them. They're not treating people like customers. They're treating them like slaves. So, questions and answers. I do want you to know that Exponent was here in British Columbia. Exponent is hired by BC Hydro and Fortis to tell the BC Utilities Commission how safe smart meters and microwave radio frequency radiation is. And our lawyer took on William Bailey of Exponent, and you can read the testimony of each day, the transcript from Fortis hearings. And Exponent has represented asbestos, DDT, Agent Orange, tobacco, all the industries that are the worst in damaging our planet. And this is the company that BC Hydro and Ford has hired to say that smart meters are safe. So now, question, I'll repeat it so that make sure everybody gets it. Yes? Go ahead and yell it out.
I have 3 meters that I put a stuck a wire over and screwed it on and held it. Then I got these forms in the mail that said it's going to cost me $35 a month each meter. So that's $110 a month. So I filled out the form. I still don't have the smart meter, but I did fill out the form and send it in, so I can't do that. It's just too much money. But I don't have the meter. Have I given up my right to those meters? Why am I?
So I'm just going to ask you, do you want a smart meter? No. All right.
When I phoned my phone and I said, listen, the only reason I'm doing this is because you're extorting this money for me. You know, I don't want the smart meter, but I can't afford to pay this money.
Okay, so what we recommend is that you take the form that has come from BC Hydro and you put void. You know how you do a void check? You write void on that letter from BC Hydro. Don't fill it out, don't put your name on it. You're going to tell me you've already done it. I'll talk to you in a minute, hang on a second. So, you put void on that letter. You take the letter that we have on our website, you can use it as a template or you can use it as it is. And it's the letter that says, I refuse to have a smart meter and I refuse to pay. And if you force me to pay, I will only be paying under duress and protest. And that is recoverable under the legal actions that are ongoing. For your situation, I would be building cages around the meter. I would be putting any sign and all signs that you want all around your meter. I would be sending in the letters that say absolutely no, I do not want a smart meter. I'd send the letter that we have on the website saying I'm not going to accept a smart meter. So you have to do everything to backtrack. Now, what we're doing is there is a lawsuit that has been filed. It was filed in July. That lawsuit was the lady that said she felt she'd been raped. Do you remember her in the movie? So she is the lead plaintiff, and we're building a class action around her situation. And everybody who doesn't want a smart meter is part of that lawsuit, just by the fact that you have been threatened, harassed, forced, they're trying to get you to take something you don't want. So you're all part of that lawsuit. It will go in front of a judge. The application is for a class action. It's being filed as a lawsuit, but now it has to be accepted as a class action. So the more members that we have, the more people that are saying, I've joined this class action, the more we can show that we're representing hundreds and thousands of people across British Columbia, it will be more effective when we go to the judge and say, now we need the class action. So that is why we're asking people to join the class action. And when you join, we hold the records. Nobody gets your name. You are completely in confidence. Nobody knows. You're anonymous to BC Hydro or any of these people. But what's going on right now is BC Hydro is trying to run around the end of the lawsuit. They're trying to sneak past it. They are communicating with people that are the class of people that the lawsuit represents. You are all part of that class if you don't want a smart meter. And they're trying to do an end run around you to bamboozle you and make you think you're going to have to pay $35. I want you to think of yourself as the last apples on the tree. You're up high, you're the juiciest ones, you're really nice. A lot of apples fell off already, there's just a little bit of wind came along. But you guys, you're on there tight. So they're really shaking the tree right now. Come on, don't be scared by these bullies. They're just trying to get you to say, okay, we roll over. We're frightened now. They're trying to steal your inner sense of what's right and your rights in your home. Now, as far as you're concerned, sir, you have to backtrack and build your little fortress around your meters and post your signs of any kind, because I believe we're in a democracy, so it doesn't matter what sign you have up there, as long as it says no smart meter.
It says I have cages over.
Oh, that's good too. You can have cages.
But I did send in that letter, so I know I send in a red.
Oh, well, you know, you might have to phone them to make sure they got your registered letter that says, hey, I changed my mind.
Okay.
I refuse to take the smart meter.
And what if I have a meter and I want to get rid of it?
Do you have a smart meter?
No,
Okay, if you have a smart meter and you want to get rid of it, you're part of the nameless people. The BC Hydro just has brushed over because they say only 60,000 people don't want a smart meter. Well, that's just a bunch of rubbish. Because we've heard from thousands and thousands and thousands of people that BC Hydro forced, intimidated, threatened, bullied, manipulated, lied to force them to have a smart meter. Now they're saying, okay, you last few who still have an analog, we'll give you a choice. What about all the people that have a smart meter that don't want one? I'm talking to people every day who can't live in their homes. I'm talking to people that are living in the woods, that are buying an RV, that have had to live in only half of their house. People are getting sick. So, are you answered? Okay, so the person who has a smart meter and wants rid of it, you are the bravest of the bunch. Down in California, the way that people who were forced to have a smart meter who didn't want one, the way they dealt with it was 14 people, 14 households got together right before Christmas, I think just about now, and they all took off the smart meter and put on an analog meter. And the power company in California, PG&E I believe it was, they shut off the power to those 14 families right before Christmas. And that hit the news big time. And the mayor and council had to get involved, because really they don't want to get involved. But I have to ask, are there any council members here today? Do we have anybody here from the mayor and council? Okay.
May I say something to that?
Just a sec, and we will. So if you, the people who have smart meters and don't want them, something has to give. I can't tell you what to do. I know what I do. You want to know what I do? I'm just doing it. They wanted to force me to have a digital meter. Well, I understand all about dirty electricity. I also understand that with just a digital meter, which is a non-RF one, they can turn on the RF anytime they want and I wouldn't even know. I know that every smart meter, digital, which is wired or wireless, produces dirty electricity. And I know it makes the whole house toxic. So I won't dance with them. I'll do anything not to have a smart meter of any kind. We are fighting for opt-out choice for everybody with the class action lawsuit. We are fighting for opt-out choice for everybody in the hearings. Now, we intervened with Fortis, and because we were at Fortis, along with other good people fighting, and we fought Exponent right there in Fortis, Fortis said everybody must have a choice. Commercial customers, everybody must have a choice. BC Hydros realized they were caught in a lie. And by the way, let's not blame BC Hydro. Who's to blame? BC Liberals, yeah.
Oh.
That's who's to blame, not BC Hydro, okay? So the BC Liberals believed, obviously, that they were caught in a lie because they told everybody nobody can opt out because the system won't work. You have to be part of the faceless, nameless few, or everybody. So when Fortis made a decision that everybody had to have a choice, BC Hydro then had to say, all right, we'll give a choice, but only to those with analogs. And then what they did was they ramped up their efforts. They ran out to everybody's home. They threatened and bullied and manipulated and sneaked in houses after hours and got smart meters on all kinds of houses that nobody wanted them on. So the way to get a smart meter off your house is pretty obvious, right? You decide you're going to go without power. Now, if you're going to do that, do it with a bunch of friends, make news. Go to your mayor and council. Every time in the States that people got their power back on was when the mayor and council got involved, and it's so sad they're not here today. I mean, you all have to take in a DVD and put it under your favorite council person's face and mayor and say, please watch this. I'm working on it. Because you have a choice. Your choice is to have no power until you deal with this. Hopefully, when one person does something, you know, they can ignore you. But when a whole bunch of people do it, the lawsuit that we're involved with, you can support the lawsuit. We're fighting for that. We're fighting for opt-out choice for everybody. Those are the only solutions I have for you at the moment. I can't, unless other people have a solution, because this is a problem that affects all of us.
What about buying an analog and replacing it?
If you buy an analog and replace it, you can do that. BC Hydro will disconnect your power, even though the analog is certified by Measurements Canada. There is, you need to talk to an electrician, and you need to say to the electrician, this is what I want to do. Now, the problem is the electrician will lose their license if they do it. Right? So, if you have a really brave friend who is a good electrical worker, it's not, I mean, you can go on to be a freedom taker. Remember the fellow with the gray hair? Down in the States, he sells analog meters, but the problem is they're not certified by Measurements Canada. And you need to get a meter certified by Measurements Canada. You need to ask your electrician if he can get a meter for you. And then, if he can get a meter for you that's certified by Measurements Canada, then really it's in your hands. Oh, you down in the front. Any idea how long a lawsuit takes? Okay, November 20th is a pre-hearing conference. So before you actually get into court, you go through all these things where you're talking and talking. So the human rights class action is set for in January, I believe, the first step forward. And November 20th is the first discussion with BC Hydro lawyers and our lawyers. So how long does a lawsuit take? Well, BC Hydro would like to drag it out forever, and we're trying to push it ahead quickly. We do have another action we're working on, which basically says you can't do an end run around a lawsuit and start charging people who are in a lawsuit with you. So that's something we're working on right now.
You've answered some of our important questions right now concerning the smart extortion. Because that's where my family feels we're at, and we were about to follow and write to BC Hydro saying we will accept the smart meter under duress. And they did mention in the letter that they will shut off the RF on.
But you're talking about a wireless off smart meter.
They're trying, like you said, they're trying to get around this class action and hammer down on the last 60,000 people. My wife here is 8 months pregnant, and we're going to be moving into a house that has a smart meter. When we move in, will we have an option to get that RF turned
Not
on?
according to BC Hydro.
So once it's on a house, we don't even own this house at the moment, but once we move in.
You see, the plan is, the BC Liberal plan is just to bamboozle everybody until they do get smart meters on everybody's home. So that's where people have to fight back. Because they're saying you can have an analog meter for as long as it takes until your analog meter needs to be replaced. So it's not as if they're even going to let you keep an analog meter past the date of an unspecified time. You are moving with a pregnant wife into a house that has microwave radiation pulses going through it rapidly. I would say that you need to get an expert in your house to see how to shield that, the spikes. There is a problem. There's a really big problem with these meters, dirty electricity from the RF off meter or the microwave radio frequency, because it actually attaches to, or can attach to the electrical lines right in your walls. So your home just becomes very toxic. There are filters for dirty electricity. They're called Stetzer filters or green wave filters, and those can be purchased through Safe Living Technologies or Less EMF. Those are both websites, and you just plug those into your wall. But it is good to have your dirty electricity tested, and it is important that you check the ground on any house you live in, because it helps to neutralize unhealthy effects. You need to get an expert to do that who has the equipment. Either that, or if you're sensitive like me, you'll walk in the house and you go, oh, I feel kind of dizzy, I feel a little bit nauseated, I'm getting a headache, I just feel awful. Yes, you've been waving for a long time. You know, Salmon Arm and the surroundings, I think, are the most beautiful place that I've been to in the world. And I've been so many places. And if you have something worth protecting, you can do it here. It's small enough. You can't do it in Vancouver. People are too disconnected and disjointed. You have a chance here. Are you saying that we should replace all the mayor and council? Okay, the problem with our public servants is they forgot that second word in their job description. They forgot the servant of the public part. They just need to be reminded they're good people. In general, they're good people. We have BC Liberals being very heavy-handed. So people, you people just need to make more noise. More pressure coming from you and your friends and your family and your kids and the grandparents, aunts and uncles. You know, you don't want to be microwaved in your beds. Lori, did you have a question?
Let me just encourage some of these people. I want you to be encouraged to talk to the mayor and council members.
I did talk to them, I
Yep.
tried to say all the time. The
Okay.
mayor says she has no voice in it. The council has no voice in it.
Exactly.
They have no choice.
That's what they say. They have no choice. That is not true. Because when I started, they said that to me, and then they encouraged me to work on it. Right? I'm public. Lori, do what you can, okay? It's my job. Well, it's their job, and they have now decided that maybe they had better do something because of people complaining. And they are now looking at a tower siting policy simply because some of the public has made noise. And they are starting to hear that noise. They didn't hear mine, they didn't hear Ruth's, they didn't hear, they kept telling us they couldn't do anything. If we keep telling them, if you can't do anything and aren't willing to do anything, then step down. They will listen. I really believe they listen to pressure. They have an incredible amount of pressure from industry. And I'm sure they're getting a ton of pressure there. I'm sure they're getting funds from TELUS to the city to whatever. And it saddens me because these people are our neighbors. And they are being affected, and the children are being affected, and they seem to have blinders on. Let's help them take them off.
Time for 2 more questions. That's it. The BC Utilities Commission have been neutered by the BC Liberals. The BC Liberals do not want any public input or oversight to the Smart Grid program. So the BC Utilities Commission has been told that they have to charge people for an analog meter. So our response is $1 per year if you want to keep an analog meter. Because now the BC Liberals has put together an order in council which basically took away any independence of the BC Utilities Commission. I mean, really, that government has to go. We have one last question, so it has to be the... Oh, look, this is a really strong hand up there. Anybody else who doesn't get their questions asked, see me afterwards.
Who are the lawyers of class action?
Okay, the lawyer that is running that is David Aaron in Nelson. Please don't call him, because if you call him, it costs us. Now, just so that you know, and you have faith, Citizens for Safe Technology cannot give you a charitable tax receipt because we lobby the government. We're political. That means we can't be charitable. If I get charitable tax status, I'm not allowed to speak the truth anymore. So I also want you to know, and this is 100% fact, I have not taken any wages, any expenses, no salaries are paid. Every single penny that is donated goes to legal fees for the human rights case and the lawsuit, etc. So I want you to know that for sure. And don't give up. Start small. Make your home the best you can be. Get out in your community. And by golly, I gotta tell you, I'm not a political figure. I'm not out there. But if I were your mayor, and I knew what I know, I would be at the head of the crowd, marching down the front street of Salmon and saying, not here, not on my watch, my people will not be harmed this way. And that is what I would expect of somebody who's put in power. So I think we should be expecting that. Thank you.
A very wise quote is, never underestimate the power of a small group of dedicated people to change the world. For indeed, that is the only thing that ever has. That is true, yes. So let's do it. I want to thank you for coming.